जगत संसारे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दयाकर मोरे दीना के जगत संसारे पतित पावन हेतु तव अवतार मौसम पतित प्रभु न पाइले हार पतित पावन हेतु पतित पावन हेतु तव अवतार मौसम पतित प्रभु न पाइले हार पतित पावन हेतु प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी कृपा बलकान आमी बड़ो दुखी प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी कृपा बलकान आमी बड़ो दुखी प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी दया करो सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृपा बले चैतन्य दया कर सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृपा बले चैतन्य दया करो सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृपा बले चैतन्य दया कर सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृपा Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Guru Mode Mahina Cheno Yagu Jagata Samsare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Guru Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare
संकीर्तनयागे की जय, श्रीमद् प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपादकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथां निर्विघ्नं सजीवं साद्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगना हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपीकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वञ्चसौभातरुण्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। अजानुलंबित भुजौ कनकावदाति संकीर्तनाय कपितरौ कमलाय तक्ष Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Tantah Pravishya Mama Vachimamam Prasuptam Sanjeevayata Kila Shakti Darasadam Anyamscha Hasta Charana Shravana Dvagari Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushayati Swasyastu Vishwasya Kalaf Prasidatam Jayantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodiyamanas Chabadram Bhajata Tadoksaja Aveshyatam Omati Bhaktyahay Tukhi. Hare Krishna. So I will speak a little bit tonight and tomorrow night about the topic of Shuddha Bhakti, or pure devotional service.
आज रात्रि र भोलिको रात्रिमा शुद्ध भक्तिमय सेवाको बारेमा हामीहरू चर्चा गर्नेछौँ।
And this topic is very important for us because we always have to check whether I perform pure devotional service or not.
र यो अत्यन्त महत्त्वपूर्ण छ किनकि हामीले सधैँ हेर्नुपर्छ कि मैले शुद्ध भक्तिमय सेवा गरिरहेको छु कि छैन।
We have so many different desires within our hearts, so many different motivations, and it's so easy to start performing bhakti with the idea of achieving something else, not Krishna's service.
हामीहरूको हृदयभित्र यति धेरै इच्छाहरू छन्, अभिलाषाहरू छन्, त्यसकारणले कृष्ण भक्तिको बाहेक अरू कुनै उद्देश्य लिएर हामी अगाडि बढिरहेका हुन पनि सक्छौँ।
And the main point is that Shuddha Bhakti, or pure devotional service, is extremely powerful.
तर मुख्य कुरा हो कि शुद्ध भक्ति चाहिँ अत्यन्त शक्तिशाली छ।
But oftentimes we do not experience this power in our life in reality.
तर धेरै जसो समय हामीहरूले वास्तवमा यो शक्तिको अनुभूति गरिरहेका हुँदैनौँ।
Because there is some power within our bhakti which is blocking the power of devotional service, or the power of bhakti.
किनकि हामी भित्र अर्को कुनै शक्ति छ जसले यो भक्तिमय सेवाको शक्तिलाई रोकिरहेको छ।
The example is given by Srila Jiva Goswami that there is Chandrakanti Mani.
र जीव गोस्वामीले उदाहरण दिनुहुन्छ एउटा चन्द्रकान्ति मणिको।
It's a special jewel which do not exist at this moment of time, but it blocks the power of fire to burn.
यो एउटा विशेष किसिमको रत्न हो जुन अहिलेको समयमा पाइँदैन, तर यसले चाहिँ आगोलाई जलाउनबाट रक्षा गर्छ।
If you have a ring with this Chandrakanti Mani on your finger, you can put your finger or your hand into the fire and the fire will not burn.
यो चन्द्रकान्ति मणि भएको औँठी तपाईले आफ्नो हातमा लगाउनु भयो भनेदेखि आगोमाथि आफ्नो हात अम्ला राखे पनि त्यसले जलाउँदैन।
Even though the power of the fire is very strong, the fire can burn, but Chandrakanti Mani blocks this power and it will not affect us because of this.
यद्यपि यो अग्निमा अत्यन्त धेरै दाहको शक्ति छ जसले पनि जलाउन सक्छ, तर यो चन्द्रकान्ति मणिको प्रभावले त्यो अग्निको शक्तिलाई छेक्दिन्छ र हाम्रो हात जल्दैन।
In a similar way, there is some power which blocks the power of bhakti.
त्यस्तै गरी एउटा शक्ति छ जसले भक्तिको शक्तिलाई रोकिरहेको छ।
And this power which is blocking the power of bhakti is called offense or aparad.
र यो जुन शक्ति छ जसले भक्तिलाई रोकिरहेको छ यसलाई अपराध भनिन्छ।
Just today I spoke with Indradyumna Maharaj and he went to pilgrimage to Jharkhand forest.
आज भर्खरै म इन्द्रद्युम्न महाराजसँग कुरा गर्दै थिएँ र उहाँ चाहिँ झारखण्ड जंगलमा जानु भएको छ यात्राको लागि।
And he told me that this is really amazing place. He said you have to drive, for 2.5 hours in the middle of nowhere. All of a sudden there is a place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had kirtan with tigers and deers and elephants.
र उहाँले भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो कि लगभग 2-2.5 घण्टा चाहिँ कहाँ बाटोमा चाहिँ गाडी कुदाइराख्नु पर्छ र त्यहाँ पुगिसकेपछि चाहिँ झारखण्डको जंगलको बीचमा चैतन्य महाप्रभुले जंगली जनावरसँग कीर्तन गरेको ठाउँ छ।
And he said on the stone there you can clearly see the footprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Not only this, but also footprints of the tigers and deers dancing together.
र त्यहाँ केवल मात्र श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु र बल्लभद्र भट्टाचार्यको चरण चिन्ह छैन, त्यहाँ त बाघ भालु सबै जनावरहरूको नाचेको चरण चिन्हहरू छ।
Yeah, they're just near. You see the footprint of the deer and you see the footprint of the tiger. And they are dancing.
र हरिणको र बाघको चरण चिन्ह लगभग नजिक नजिकै छ, दुवै नाचिरहेका छन्।
And he said it's not just one footprint, but there is the whole chain of footprints, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the whole Harinam with deers and tigers and elephants through the forest, and they're following him like Harinam party.
र केवल एउटा दुईटा चरण चिन्ह मात्रै होइन, त्यहाँ त चरण चिन्हको लस्करै छ, किनभने महाप्रभुले कीर्तन गर्दै जाँदा सबैजना पछि पछि लागेर धेरै लामो बाटो हिँड्नु भएको थियो।
He said you can go through these footsteps for 2 kilometers and you still can see that it's going on.
र उहाँले भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो कि लगभग 2 किलोमिटर अगाडि बढ्दा पनि त्यो चरण चिन्ह देखिरहेको छ।
And Sanatana Goswami actually was so impressed by the power of this place, the power of the kirtan which was performed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this place, that he came to this place twice before coming to Puri, and that's where he contracted his disease.
र सनातन गोस्वामी यो कीर्तनको शक्तिसँग यति आकर्षित हुनुहुन्थ्यो कि उहाँले दुईचोटि यो स्थान हुँदै भ्रमण गर्नुभयो र त्यसै स्थानमा जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ उहाँलाई रोग पनि लागेको थियो।
And in Alalnath near Jagannath Puri, there is a rock where the whole body of Lord Chaitanya is imprinted. When he was in this ecstatic mood, his whole body is there. You can again clearly see his huge body imprinted in the rock.
र जगन्नाथपुरीको नजिकै अलारनाथ मन्दिर छ, जहाँ चाहिँ चैतन्य महाप्रभु भावावेशमा आएर पुरै ढुङ्गामाथि महाप्रभुको पूर्ण शरीरको नै चिन्ह छ।
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu भावावेश का पूरा शरीर का चिन्ह. So the point here is that Bhakti is so powerful that even stones, if somebody has Bhakti, even stones will be melted.
त भक्तिको शक्ति यति धेरै छ कि कसैमा त्यो शुद्ध भक्ति छ भने ढुङ्गा पनि पग्लिन्छ।
But when we practice Bhakti, our stone-like heart doesn't melt.
तर हामीहरूले भक्तिको अभ्यास गर्दा चाहिँ हाम्रो ढुङ्गा सदृश हृदय पग्लिँदैन।
There is no chinna on our heart. There is no footprint or the imprint of Bhakti in our heart. We don't cry, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, yeah, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
त हामीहरूको हृदयभित्र त कुनै त्यस्तो चिन्ह छैन। हामीहरू त्यो नाम जप गर्दाखेरि कीर्तन गर्दाखेरि हरे कृष्ण भन्छौँ, तर आँखाबाट आँसु झर्दैन।
So basically in this little discourse which we will have tonight and tomorrow night, we will try to understand what is lacking in our performance of Bhakti.
तसर्थ आजको सन्ध्या र भोलिको सन्ध्यामा जुन हामीहरू यो सत्र छ, यसमा हाम्रो भक्तिमा के को कमी भइरहेछ त भन्ने कुरा चर्चा गर्नेछौँ। Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was very much concerned with this, and he said that in his little book Bhakti Tattva Viveka, where he explains the Swarupa of Shuddha Bhakti, he explains that there are too many mixed forms of the Bhakti, and therefore because Bhakti is mixed with something else, this foreign element which is against the nature of Bhakti, it actually destroys the power of Bhakti to affect our heart and the heart of other people. भक्तिविनोद ठाकुरलाई चाहिँ यो सन्दर्भमा धेरै चिन्ता थियो, त्यसकारणले आफ्नो पुस्तकमा उहाँले बताउनु भएको छ कि यो भक्तिमय सेवामा जुन चाहिँ एउटा अपराधहरू हुन्छ, एउटा समस्या हुन्छ, जसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हाम्रो भक्तिलाई पनि असर पर्छ, साथसाथै अरूको भक्तिलाई पनि असर गर्छ।
He basically says that the main problem is that we don't perform pure devotional service, we perform some mixed form of devotion.
उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि समस्या के भने हामीले शुद्ध भक्तिमय सेवा गरिरहेको छैनौँ, त्यसमा केही न केही मिश्रित भक्तिमय सेवा गर्दैछौँ।
And he says that this, the fruits of this mixed bhakti is not as desirable, and there is a lot of problem, and therefore we don't experience the real power of bhakti in our heart.
र यो मिश्रित भक्तिको कारणले गर्दाखेरि नै हामीहरूको जुन उद्देश्य हो, गन्तव्य, त्यसलाई प्राप्त गर्न सक्दैनौँ र अरू धेरै समस्याहरू आइपर्दछन्।
And he says, if we really consider or think about the nature of pure bhakti, that will have double effect.
र उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि यदि हामीले वास्तविक शुद्ध भक्तिको बारेमा चिन्तन गर्यो भने त्यसको दुईटा असर हुन्छ।
He says that due to this process we will clearly understand what is Shuddha Bhakti. We will be able to really understand what it means, and our ignorance will be gone.
उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि यो विधिद्वारा हामीहरूले शुद्ध भक्ति भन्ने कुरा के हो राम्रोसँग बुझ्न सक्छौँ र हाम्रो अज्ञान पनि जान्छ।
And we also be able to be protected from these mixed forms of bhakti.
र हामी यो मिश्रित भक्तिबाट बच्न पनि सक्छौँ।
Because there is a lot of temptation to mix something with the bhakti together.
किनकि भक्तिसँग अरू कुरालाई मिसाउने एउटा प्रचलन रहिरहेको हुन्छ।
Especially in this Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga there is very fashionable to mix everything. It's called fusion.
र यो कलियुगमा हरेक कुरामा मिसावट हुने त भइ नै हाल्छ।
You go to restaurant and there's some fusion kitchen, it's just mixing everything together.
र तपाईँ कुनै रेस्टुरेन्टमा जानुहोस्, भोजनालयमा जानुहोस्, त्यहाँ पनि अनेक थरी मिसाउने गरिहाल्छन्।
So we are practicing fusion bhakti.
त यस्तो हामीले मिश्रित भक्ति गरिरहेछौँ।
Fusion, but we should practice Shuddha bhakti.
तर हामीले शुद्ध भक्ति चाहिँ गर्नुपर्ने हो।
So, and actually this is not only modern phenomena. It has been always like this, people they would always mix something with the bhakti.
र यो कुनै आधुनिक कुरा मात्रै हैन, सबै समयमा नै व्यक्तिहरू भक्तिसँग केही न केही मिसाइरहेकै हुन्छन्।
And therefore in Bhakti Sandarbha Srila Jiva Goswami, he gave a very elaborate classification, and he talks about something like 100 plus 120 or so different varieties of bhakti.
र भक्ति सन्दर्भमा श्रील जीव गोस्वामी बताउनुहुन्छ, त्यहाँ सूची दिनुहुन्छ विभिन्न किसिमका भक्तिहरू, लगभग 120 किसिमका मिश्रित भक्तिहरू छन्।
Yeah, 120 varieties of Mishrit Bhakti and only one pure Bhakti.
120 किसिमका मिश्रित भक्तिहरू छन् र एउटा मात्रै शुद्ध भक्ति छ।
And it's very difficult to find one among 120,
120 मध्येबाट एउटा पाउन धेरै गाह्रो छ।
And the problem, why this problem arises, because we all have our different understandings, and we kind of reflect our understanding, our samskaras, our experience onto the area of bhakti, and we try to practice bhakti according to our understanding.
र किनकि हामी सबैको आफआफ्नो एउटा संस्कार छ र त्यो संस्कारको अनुसारले हाम्रो सोचाइको अनुसार हामी चाहिँ भक्ति त्यसै तरिकाले गर्न खोज्छौँ।
And bhakti is very subtle. Bhakti is not very gross.
र भक्ति एकदमै सूक्ष्म छ, यो एकदम स्थूल छैन।
Even if you practice hatha yoga is much more gross than bhakti. So there you have to practice samasana, and of course there are also some subtleties. But bhakti is much more subtle than this.
अवश्य हठ योगा तपाईले गर्नुभयो भने यो अझै स्थूल छ, यसमा चाहिँ आसनहरू इत्यादि कुराहरू गर्ने पनि त्यसमा पनि केही सूक्ष्म चिजहरू छ, तर भक्ति अझै सूक्ष्म छ।
So the point is that we all have our material conceptions, and we reflect our material conceptions into the area of bhakti.
त कुरा के हो भने हामी सबैको एउटा भौतिक धारणाहरू छ र त्यो भौतिक धारणाहरूले हामीले भक्तिमा पनि लगाउन खोज्छौँ।
And it's very difficult to distinguish where our material conception starts and where the bhakti ends, or where. So, when our material understanding of bhakti starts and when the real bhakti, Shuddha bhakti, ends.
त यो एकदमै छुट्याउन गाह्रो पर्छ कि कहाँबाट हाम्रो भौतिक इच्छा आकाङ्क्षाहरू सुरु हुन्छ र कहाँ भक्तिको अन्त हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा हो।
The very beautiful lila is explained in Antya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Brahman from Bengal came to Jagannath Puri.
र चैतन्य चरितामृत अन्तिम भागमा एउटा बङ्गालको ब्राह्मण जगन्नाथपुरीमा आउनुभएको एउटा लीला छ।
And he wrote a beautiful drama about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
र उहाँले चैतन्य महाप्रभु सम्बन्धी एउटा सुन्दर नाटक लेख्नु भएको थियो।
And he wanted to read this drama to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself.
र उहाँले चाहिँ स्वयं चैतन्य महाप्रभुलाई यो नाटक पढेर सुनाउन चाहनुहुन्थ्यो।
And other devotees, they were listening to this drama and they were very overwhelmed and amazed, such a beautiful poetical composition of this Bengali Brahman.
र अरू सबै भक्तहरू चाहिँ एकदम खुसी हुनुहुन्थ्यो र मन्त्रमुग्ध हुनुभयो त्यो बङ्गाली भक्तको ड्रामा सुनेर।
And then Swarup Damodar listened to this drama. He listened the first verse of this drama and he said, "This is Mayavad."
र जब स्वरूप दामोदर गोस्वामीले यो नाटकको बारेमा सुन्नुभयो, पहिलो श्लोक सुन्ने बित्तिकै उहाँले यो मायावादी हो भन्नुभयो।
He criticized severely. He found so many faults in just one verse.
र उहाँले एकदम धेरै निन्दा गर्नुभयो, एउटै श्लोकमा धेरै गल्ती भेटाउनु भयो।
But what happened here, that we have this Brahman and he's supposedly very pure from Brahminical background. He wanted to express his admiration about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but in reality he writes something which is contaminated by this all these mixtures of Mayavad or Jnana or Karma.
त हेर्दाखेरि एकदम राम्रो परिवारमा जन्मिएका ब्राह्मण थिए र उनको सभ्यता पनि राम्रो थियो र चैतन्य महाप्रभुको बारेमा यो नाटक सुनाएर महाप्रभुलाई अरू भक्तलाई खुसी दिलाउन चाहन्थ्यो जस्तो देखिन्थ्यो, तर वास्तवमा उनको नाटकमा चाहिँ मायावादको मिश्रण थियो।
And devotees cannot really distinguish one from another. They say, "Oh, very good, very good, very nice, so devotional, Hare Krishna."
र भक्तहरूले यसलाई छुटाउन सक्नुहुन्न र सबै एकदम राम्रो कति भक्तिमय छ भन्छन्।
And therefore our practice is not so powerful. Therefore the effects of the practice are not so powerful.
किनकि हाम्रो अभ्यास त्यति शक्तिशाली छैन, त्यसकारणले यसको असरहरू पनि प्रभावशाली भइरहेको छैन।
And therefore different acharyas, they gave their definitions, and we have to really understand what we mean when we say bhakti or pure devotional service.
र विभिन्न आचार्यहरूले आफ्नो प्रतिभाषाहरू दिनुभएको छ, तर हामीहरूले के बुझ्नुपर्छ त यो भक्तिमय सेवाको बारेमा कुरा गर्दाखेरि?
This concept of Shuddha Bhakti is coming from Sri Sampradaya, from Ramanujacharya.
यो शुद्ध भक्तिको बारेमा चाहिँ श्री सम्प्रदाय र रामानुज सम्प्रदायबाट आउँदैछ।
And Ramanuja Sampradaya, they are very, very careful not to worship anyone else but only Narayan.
र रामानुज सम्प्रदायका व्यक्तित्वहरू एकदम सावधान हुनुहुन्छ, उनीहरूले नारायण बाहेक अरू कसैको पूजा गर्नुहुन्न।
In Sri Sampradaya, those who are real followers of Sri Sampradaya, they will not even enter Shiva temple.
र श्री सम्प्रदायको सच्चा अनुयायीहरू कहिले शिवजीको मन्दिरमा प्रवेश पनि गर्दैनन्।
For them it's a big aparata. They will avoid Shiva temple.
उनीहरूको लागि त्यो ठुलो अपराध हुन्छ, उहाँहरू चाहिँ शिव मन्दिरलाई छलेर हिँड्नुहुन्छ।
In Kanchipuram, the Kanchipuram is holy place for Sri Sampradaya. Not only, it's divided in Shiva Kanchi and Vishnu Kanchi.
र यो काञ्चीपुरम चाहिँ पवित्र नगरी हो र यसलाई चाहिँ दुईटा भागमा शिव काञ्ची र विष्णु काञ्चीमा छुट्याइएको छ।
And in Shiva Kanchi there are Shiva temples and Vishnu Kanchi there are Vishnu temples.
र शिव काञ्चीमा शिवजीका मन्दिरहरू छन् र विष्णु काञ्चीमा भगवान विष्णुका मन्दिरहरू छन्।
So the Sri Vaishnavas, they don't even step into other part of the city where the Shiva temples are there.
र यी श्री वैष्णवहरू यति कट्टर हुन्छन् कि उनीहरू शिवकान्छी तर्फको भागमा टेक्दा पनि टेक्दैनन्।
So careful they are to point their devotion, to direct their devotion towards Krishna and only towards Krishna and towards Narayana Vishnu.
र उहाँहरू यति सावधान हुनुहुन्छ कि हाम्रो भक्तिलाई केवल मात्र कृष्ण अथवा नारायणसम्म मात्रै हामीहरू भक्ति गर्छौँ भन्ने छ।
So this concept of pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, in Ramanuja Sampradaya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took this concept of Ananya Bhakti, pure devotional service, from Sri Sampradaya to Gaudiya Sampradaya.
र श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभुले यो अनन्य भक्तिको सिद्धान्तलाई श्री सम्प्रदायबाट हाम्रो गौडीय वैष्णव सम्प्रदायमा ल्याउनु भएको थियो।
And basically this concept is very much prominent in our tradition. That's what I want to say.
र यही सिद्धान्त नै हामीहरूको यो यसमा अत्यन्त महत्त्वपूर्ण छ।
And therefore Srila Rupa Goswami gave the definition of pure devotional service. Let's talk a little bit about this definition of pure devotional service by Srila Rupa Goswami Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
र श्रील रूप गोस्वामीले भक्ति रसामृत सिन्धुमा भक्तिको शुद्ध भक्तिको परिभाषा दिनुभएको छ। यसको बारेमा हामीहरू थोरै चर्चा गर्छौँ।
Yeah, so the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is Paribhasha Pustakam. It's the book of definitions.
र यो भक्ति रसामृत सिन्धुलाई नै परिभाषा पुस्तक भन्छ। यसमा विभिन्न चिजको परिभाषा दिएको छ।
Yeah. Because to enter into some culture, you have to very clearly know what the words which the people use mean exactly, the exact definitions of the words being used.
कुनै सभ्यतामा प्रवेश गर्नका लागि त्यहाँका व्यक्तिहरूले कस्तो किसिमको शब्दहरू प्रयोग गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसको बारेमा जानकार हुनु अत्यन्त आवश्यक छ।
Because we always, we use words very loosely, indiscriminately. I love you. What does it mean? We know what it means. Bhakti or love or seva or whatever, it may mean many different things. So we need to have very clear definitions.
त किनकि व्यक्तिहरूमा शब्दहरूलाई सरल तरिकाले सस्तो रूपमा प्रयोग गर्ने एउटा बानी हुन्छ। कसैले म तिमीलाई प्रेम गर्छु भन्छ, त्यसको अर्थ त उनीहरूले बुझेको अथवा बुझेको पनि होला, तर भक्ति अथवा सेवा यो प्रेम यो शब्दहरूलाई हामीले चाहिँ राम्रोसँग प्रयोग गर्न जान्नुपर्छ।
So of course you all know the definition of pure devotional service. Let's chant it together.
त भक्तिमय सेवाको परिभाषा तपाईलाई थाहै छ, सँगै हामीहरू गाउँछौँ।
Anya vilasita shunyam jnana karma janavritam anukulena krishna anusilanam bhaktir uttama. So first of all, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is asking very important questions. He says, Rupa Goswami says, this is Uttama Bhakti. Does it mean that there is Adhama Bhakti, some lower kind of Bhakti?
र भक्तिविनोद ठाकुरले यो प्रश्न उठाउनुहुन्छ, रूप गोस्वामीले यो चाहिँ उत्तम भक्ति हो भन्नुभएको छ भने अर्को कुनै अधम खालको भक्ति पनि छ त?
Can you say that somebody is practicing Adhama Bhakti? I am practicing Uttama Bhakti, he is practicing Adhama Bhakti.
कसैले भन्न सक्नुहुन्छ कि म चाहिँ उत्तम भक्ति गर्दैछु, यो कसैले चाहिँ अधम भक्ति गर्दैछ भनेर?
He says actually Bhakti is only one. Bhakti is always pure.
उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि वास्तवमा त भक्ति एउटै हुन्छ र त्यो सधैँ शुद्ध हुन्छ।
Bhakti is the Shakti, it's Swayam Shakti of Bhagavan himself. How it can be Adhama? It cannot be Adhama.
भक्ति त स्वयं भगवानकै शक्ति हो भने त्यो अधम हुने कुनै सम्भावनै छैन।
And it's always pure.
र यो सदैव शुद्ध हुन्छ।
Because it's not, it cannot mix with anything else.
किनकि त्यो अरु केहीसँग मिसिनै सक्दैन।
So basically when Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives a very interesting explanation. He says when Srila Rupa Goswami speaks about Uttama Bhakti, he says he basically means that yes, Bhakti is always pure, but it's like water. Water is always pure, right?
र उहाँले यो उदाहरणद्वारा एउटा बुझाउनुहुन्छ जस्तो कि पानी छ, पानी त सदैव शुद्ध हुन्छ।
When we say water, water means water, it means pure water.
जब हामी पानी भन्छौँ, पानीको मतलब शुद्ध पानी।
But still, there can be some mixture of some foreign elements into the water. Therefore, when somebody gives us water, we ask, is it pure water or not?
र तर पानीमा अरू केही तत्त्वहरू मिसाइएको हुन सक्छ, त्यसकारणले कसैले पानीलाई दियो भने यो शुद्ध पानी हो भनेर हामी सोच्छौँ।
So bhakti is always uttama. Bhakti is always spiritual, but we have to really understand what are the foreign elements which can be mixed with the bhakti.
त भक्ति त सधैँ शुद्ध नै हुन्छ, तर यो अरू चिजहरू के हुन्छ जुन भक्तिमा आएर मिसिन्छन्।
And the first thing which we have to understand is Svarupa, Svarupa Shakti, or Svarupa of Bhakti, Svarupa of Shuddha Bhakti. What is Svarupa of Shuddha Bhakti?
र पहिलो कुरा हामीले बुझ्नुपर्ने भनेको यो शुद्ध भक्तिको स्वरूप के हो त?
And he says that in this definition there are two kinds of lakshanas of bhakti, two kinds of different signs of bhakti, Svarupa lakshana and Tatastha lakshana.
र उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि यो भक्तिको परिभाषामा यस भक्तिको दुईटा लक्षणहरू छन्, एउटा स्वरूप लक्षण, एउटा तटस्थ लक्षण।
Svarupa lakshana of bhakti is anukuliyana Krishna anushilanam, right? You all know. So basically the essence of bhakti is that you have to do something which is favorable in the service to the Supreme Lord.
र सार तत्त्व के हो त स्वरूप लक्षण के हो भनेदेखि हामीहरूले भगवानलाई अनुकूल पर्ने केही सेवा गर्न पर्छ।
So the essence of pure bhakti is this mood of service, this inclination to enjoy.
हामी सबैमा यो भोग वृत्ति छ, हामीलाई भोग गर्न मन लाग्छ।
And practice bhakti, we should somehow or other change this bhoga vritti, the inclination to enjoy, into the seva vritti, into the inclination to serve.
त यो अभ्यासद्वारा हामीले यो भोग वृत्तिलाई मूल गर्ने चाहनालाई हामीले सेवा वृत्ति अथवा भगवानको सेवा गर्नमा लगाउनु पर्छ।
And the difference between the one and the other one is that in bhoga vritti you're always concerned what will happen with me, what I will experience as a result of it.
र यो दुईटामा फरक के छ भनेदेखि भोग वृत्तिमा चाहिँ मैले के पाउँछु, मैले के आनन्द हुन्छ, मलाई के आनन्द हुन्छ भन्ने सोच हुन्छ।
But in seva vritti you're always concerned how he whom I serve will experience what I do.
र सेवा वृत्तिमा चाहिँ जसको मैले सेवा गर्दैछु उहाँलाई कस्तो अनुभूति भइरहेको छ भन्ने मात्रै हुन्छ।
Therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur says very beautiful definition, very beautiful. He says bhakti is anugatya dharma.
र भक्तिविनोद ठाकुरले अति सुन्दर परिभाषा दिनुहुन्छ। उहाँ भन्नुहुन्छ कि भक्ति भनेको अनुगत्य धर्म हो।
He says that the essence of bhakti is that this is actually coming from Jiva Goswami, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur even compresses this. Anugatya dharma means basically the activity which we are doing following somebody, not on our own.
र यो वास्तवमा जीव गोस्वामीले लेख्नु भएको हो, तर यसलाई सारभूत रूपमा भक्तिविनोद ठाकुरले बताउँदै हुनुहुन्छ कि यो अनुगत्य धर्म भनेको आफूले आफै जाने होइन कि अरू कसैको पछि अनुसरण गर्ने हो।
Jiva Goswami gives this definition of seva. What is seva? He says, sa cha seva kayika vachika manasatmika trividha anugati ruchate. Seva means three kinds of anugatya, three kinds of following.
र जीव गोस्वामी बताउनुहुन्छ कि सेवा भन्नाले तीन किसिमको अनुसरण हुन्छ।
We're following behind Krishna by our kayika, by our body, by our vachika, by our words, and by our manasa, by our thoughts, by our mind.
हामी आफ्नो शरीरले, मनले र वचनले, बोलीले भगवान कृष्णको अनुसरण गर्दैछौँ।
In other words, what is seva? Seva means I do only what is pleasing to the Krishna. Seva means I speak only what is pleasing to the Krishna. I don't use bad words or whatever. I try to follow him and I think the way it is pleasing to Krishna.
त सेवा भनेको शरीरले म त्यो कार्य गर्छु जसले कृष्णलाई आनन्द दिन्छ, बोली वचनले म त्यो बोल्छु जसले कृष्णलाई आनन्द दिन्छ, र मेरो मनले त्यो सोच्छु जसले कृष्णलाई आनन्द दिन्छ।
Not the way I want, not the way I want to do it, but the way Krishna wants me to do it.
मैले जस्तो चाहन्छु त्यस्तो होइन, कृष्णले जस्तो चाहनुहुन्छ त्यसरी।
So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, basically, bhakti means anugatya dharma. I'm anuga, I'm follower.
त भक्तिनाथ ठाकुर भन्नुहुन्छ भक्ति भनेकै यो अनुगत्य धर्म हो, म अनुयायी हुँ।
As soon as you think, initially we were supposed to give this seminar for the leaders. As soon as you think you are the leader, there's no leaders here. We're all followers.
वास्तवमा यो चाहिँ नेतृत्व गर्ने भक्तहरूको लागि चाहिँ थियो, तर जब हामी सोच्छौँ कि म नेता हुँ, म अगाडि छु भनेर सोच्छौँ भनेदेखि हाम्रो पतन हुन्छ। वास्तवमा हामी सबै अनुयायीहरू हौँ।
We always anugas, we are following, we are not leading, we are following behind Krishna.
हामी सदैव अनुगत छौँ, हामी अनुसरण गरेका छौँ, कृष्णको पछि पछि गइरहेछौँ।
And only because we are following, somebody can follow us because we are following behind Krishna.
र किनकि हामीहरूले अनुसरण गर्दैछौँ त्यसकारणले हाम्रो पनि कसैले अनुसरण गर्न सक्छ।
So that's the first thing which we have to really understand. Seva means I am not independent. I am never independent. As soon as I think I am independent, I am out. I am kicked out from this Krishna consciousness movement.
र यो महत्त्वपूर्ण बुझ्नु पर्नेछ कि म कहिले पनि स्वतन्त्र छुइनँ। जसै मैले सोच्छु कि म स्वतन्त्र छु, हामी यो कृष्ण भावना अमृत अभियानबाट बाहिर निस्किन्छौँ।
People often have this idea, then I will become leader, and as soon as I become leader, I become independent. Forget it. You become fallen if you think like this.
र व्यक्तिलाई सधैँ लाग्छ कि ओहो म पनि एक दिन नेतृत्व गर्छु र जुन दिन म नेतृत्व गर्छु म स्वतन्त्र हुन्छु, तर जुन दिन तपाईँ स्वतन्त्र आयो तपाईँ बाहिर निस्किनुहुन्छ।
So that's the first thing which we have to really be very clear. And then it's also very interesting because Srila Rupa Goswami says that in this Anushilanam, we are talking about Anushilanam. The most important part in the whole thing is Anu. Anu means following. Anushilanam. I am doing something not which I invented. If Srila Prabhupada said that we should do bhakti, we should practice bhakti like this, we should follow what he says. He knows better. Not that I invent some my special Nepali way of following bhakti.
यो त पहिलो कुरा बुझ्नु प्रश्न गर्नुपर्ने कुरा र दोस्रो कुरा हामीले यो जुन अनुसरण भन्ने यसमा अनु जुन शब्द लागेको छ अत्यन्त महत्त्वपूर्ण। अनु भने हामीहरू पछ्याउँदैछौँ, पछि जाँदैछौँ। किनभनेदेखि हामीहरूले जे बताइएको छ, शुद्ध भक्तले जे भन्नुहुन्छ त्यसको अनुसरण गर्नुपर्छ। प्रभुपादजीले यस्तो किसिमको गर भनेपछि हामीले जस्तो भन्नुभएको छ त्यस्तै गर्नुपर्छ। यस्तो होइन कि हामी कुनै नेपाली तरिकाको भक्ति गर्छौँ भन्ने होइन।
Yeah. Then chesta. Very good Nepali word. Srila Rupa Goswami says that Silanam, Anusilanam, Silanam means chesta.
र अनुशीलनमा शिलनम भनेको चेष्टा हो भन्नु।
Srila Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, commenting on this verse, says that this Silanam means, has two kinds, Chesta Rupa and Bhava Rupa.
र शिल जीव गोस्वामीले यही श्लोकमा तात्पर्य लेख्दै भन्नुहुन्छ कि यो शिलनमको एउटा चेष्टा हुन्छ र अर्को दुईटा भाग हुन्छ यसको।
Chesta Rupa means your endeavors, you're doing something practical, and Bhava Rupa means your emotion, which you experience by practicing bhakti.
र चेष्ट रूपमा जसमा चाहिँ हामीहरू प्रयास गरिरहेको हुन्छ, अभ्यास गरिरहेको हुन्छ, र भाव स्वरूपमा चाहिँ हामीलाई कृष्णप्रति यो भक्तिको अनुसारप्रति भाव जागृत हुन्छ।
So I have to please Krishna by my endeavors and by my emotions.
तसर्थ मेरो प्रयासद्वारा र मेरो चिन्तनद्वारा कृष्णलाई प्रसन्न गर्नुपर्छ।
It basically means that I should do something, but I also have to feel something which is pleasing to Krishna.
भन्न खोजेको कृष्णको लागि केही गर्न पनि पर्छ र कृष्णको लागि केही अनुभूति पनि गर्न पर्छ।
And some people think that it means that we have to practice Chesta Rupa and Bhava Rupa together.
र के व्यक्तिहरुको भनाइ छ कि हामीले चेष्टा रूप र भाव रूपलाई सँगसँगै गर्न पर्छ।
Bhaktivinoda Thakur says no, it's a mistake.
र भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर हुन्छ हैन हैन यो चाहिँ गल्ती भयो।
He says that ultimately Bhava should follow your Chesta.
उहाँले बताउनुहुन्छ कि अन्तिममा भावले चेष्टाको पछि अनुसरण गर्नुपर्छ।
In other words, we shouldn't really try to get into some emotional state because, Krishna, uh, we should not really artificially try to enter into some emotion while practicing bhakti.
हामीहरूले भक्तिको अभ्यास गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कृत्रिम रूपले कुनै म भावमा प्रवेश गर्छु हो यस्तो अनुभूति गरेँ भने यस्तो जबरजस्ती गर्ने कुरा होइन।
Sometimes people, they become little tired of following Vaidhi Bhakti and they think, no, Bhakti means, my heart is, but this is Sahajiya.
र व्यक्तिहरू चाहिँ यो साधना भक्तिको नियम पालन गर्दा 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 कहिलेकाहीँ दिक्क भएर चाहिँ ओहो भक्ति भनेको चाहिँ हामीले भित्र अनुभूति गर्ने हो र भनेर सोच्छन् र यसरी चाहिँ उनीहरू सहजिया भन्छन्।
So basically we have to really know how to do chesta so that actually the real bhava, real emotion towards the Lord would be invoked in our heart. That's very important.
र हामीले बुझ्नुपर्छ कसरी हामीले चेष्टा गर्ने ताकि त्यो भाव हाम्रो हृदयभित्र विकसित हुन सकोस्।
So that's about Anushilanam. Anugatya and Shilanam basically means chesta rupa. The main thing is that we have to do something practical like chanting or studying or distributing books or whatever in this in the mood of service by following Krishna.
र यो अनुशीलनमा अनु भनेको त पछ्याउने अनुसरण गर्ने भयो र शीलनम भने चेष्टा हामीले केही न केही अभ्यास अथवा जप गर्ने पुस्तक पढ्ने पुस्तक वितरण गर्ने अथवा केही न केही सेवा गरिराख्नुपर्छ। यो चाहिँ अनुगत्यको भावमा रहेर गर्नुपर्छ।
But then Rupa Goswami says very important thing. He says it's not bhakti is not Anushilanam. Not only Anushilanam, it's Krishna Anushilanam.
र रूप गोस्वामी बताउनुहुन्छ भक्ति भनेको केवल अनुशीलनम मात्रै होइन यो कृष्ण अनुशीलनम हो।
And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that you can only practice pure devotional service towards Krishna.
र भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर बताउनुहुन्छ कि हामीले कृष्ण प्रति मात्रै यो शुद्ध भक्ति गर्न सकिन्छ।
It's very fanatical concept. Very, some people may not appreciate it, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that you cannot really practice bhakti even towards Lord Narayan. Shuddha bhakti, pure bhakti.
र सुन्दाखेरि अभि भावुकतावादी जस्तो सुन्न सकिन्छ तर भक्तिविनोद ठाकुरले भन्नुहुन्छ कि कोही व्यक्तिलाई विश्वास पनि नहोला तर शुद्ध भक्ति चाहिँ केवल कृष्ण प्रति मात्रै हुन्छ नारायण प्रति पनि हुँदैन।
Yeah, Shuddha bhakti keval Krishna prati matra. Whatever. Really, the object of Shuddha bhakti, of pure bhakti, is only Krishna, not anyone else.
तसर्थ भक्तिको प्रमुख विषय केवल मात्र कृष्ण हुनुहुन्छ अरु कोही हुन सक्दैन।
Powerful form of Bhagavan will be revealed to you.
किनकि हामीले शुद्ध भक्ति गर्छौं भने भगवानको सर्वशक्तिमान रूप हाम्रो अगाडि प्रकट हुनुहुन्छ।
The method of practicing and the object towards which we practice, they are interdependent.
हाम्रो यो भक्तिको साधना र साध्य एउटै हुन्छ।
It's very important to understand that so many people practice different kinds of bhakti.
धेरै किसिमका व्यक्तिले विभिन्न किसिमका भक्तिहरुको गर्छन्।
But as a result of their practice, some people they realize Paramatma, some people realize, Mayavadis also practice some sort of bhakti.
र केही व्यक्तिहरुले चाहिँ परमात्मालाई जान्न सक्छन् अथवा मायावादीहरुले पनि कुनै किसिमको भक्ति गरिरहेछन्।
And as a result of it, they see the effulgence, very, very bright effulgence of Brahman, spiritual effulgence.
र त्यसको फलस्वरूप उनीहरुले चाहिँ ब्रह्म ज्योतिको तेज देख्न सक्छन्।
Some people they practice bhakti, as a result of it they realize the four-handed form of Narayan.
र केही भक्तहरुले भक्तिको अनुशीलन गरेर भगवानको चतुर्भुजी नारायण स्वरूप देख्न सक्छन्।
But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it's very important. If you practice Shuddha Bhakti, you will realize only Krishna, not anyone else.
र भक्तिमय ठाकुर भन्नुहुन्छ यदि तपाईँले शुद्ध भक्तिको अनुशीलन गर्ने हो भने चाहिँ केवल कृष्णकै दर्शन पाउनुहुन्छ, अरू कसैको होइन।
And therefore, it's so important for us, first of all, to understand towards whom we are practicing, because even Narayan cannot really reciprocate with our bhakti in a complete way.
तसर्थ हामीले को प्रति भक्ति गर्दैछौँ भन्ने कुरा अत्यन्त सावधानीपूर्वक जान्नुपर्छ, किनकि स्वयं भगवान नारायणले पनि हाम्रो शुद्ध भक्तिको प्रत्युत्तर गर्न सक्नुहुन्न।
Even Narayan himself meditates on Krishna.
स्वयं भगवान नारायण पनि कृष्णको चिन्तन गर्नुहुन्छ।
Some time ago, we went to Sri Rangam.
केही समय अगाडि हामी श्रीरङ्गममा गएका थियौँ।
And in Sri Rangam, there is this beautiful murti of Narayan laying on Anantashesh.
र त्यहाँ श्रीरङ्गममा भगवान नारायणको अनन्त शेषमाथि शयन गर्नुभएको अति सुन्दर विग्रह छ।
And in this Garbha, how it is?
Chamber.
Yeah, in this chamber, in this Garbha, Garbhagriha. In the Garbhagriha, where Ranganath is laying down and enjoying his life, on the walls of his Garbhagriha, there is pastimes of Lord Krishna.
र जहाँ भगवान नारायण शयन गरिराख्नु भएको छ त्यो मन्दिरको गर्भगृहको कोठाको भित्ताहरूमा चाहिँ भगवान कृष्णका लीलाहरू छन्।
And I asked why there is Krishna Leela in Narayan chamber there explained.
र त्यहाँ मैले सोधेँ कि यो नारायण भगवानको गर्भगृहभित्र किन कृष्णका लीलाहरू छन्।
And they explained to me that he's Narayan and he's meditating on his Krishna Leela because it's so sweet.
र उहाँले भन्नुभयो कि उहाँ नारायण हुनुहुन्छ र उहाँले कृष्णले आफ्नो कृष्ण भएको बेलाको लीलामा चिन्तन गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ किनकि कृष्ण अति मधुर हुनुहुन्छ।
But we have never heard that Krishna is meditating on Narayan Leela.
तर कहिले हामीले सुनेका छैनौँ कि कृष्णले चाहिँ नारायणको लीलामा चिन्तन गर्नुहुन्छ।
It's Narayan meditating on Krishna, not Krishna meditating on Narayan.
नारायण चाहिँ कृष्णको चिन्तन गर्नुहुन्छ तर कृष्णले नारायणको चिन्तन गर्नुहुन्छ।
So even Narayan is meditating on Krishna. Why you shouldn't meditate on Krishna?
यदि स्वयं नारायणले कृष्णको ध्यान गर्नुहुन्छ भने हामीले किन कृष्णको ध्यान नगर्ने?
So basically what is very important is that the process of pure devotional service and the object of pure devotional service are inseparable.
त यो शुद्ध भक्तिको विधि र शुद्ध भक्तिलाई प्राप्त गर्ने वस्तु एउटै हो भन्ने बुझ्नुपर्छ।
You can only realize Krishna by practicing Shuddha Bhakti, and by practicing Shuddha Bhakti you can realize only Krishna. That's the point.
कृष्णको यो शुद्ध भक्तिको अनुशीलन गरेर हामीले कृष्णको अनुभूति गर्न सक्छौँ र कृष्णको अनुभूति गरेर पनि हामीले यो बल्ल यो शुद्ध भक्ति गर्न सक्छौँ।
By some other methods you will have some other experiences, but we are actually we want to experience the complete sweetness of Bhagavan and his complete sweet form.
अरू विधिहरूबाट अरू कुराहरू प्राप्त हुन सक्लान् तर हामीहरू भगवानको पूर्ण मधुरताको आस्वादन गर्न चाहन्छौँ।
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that this Swayam Bhagavan has these two forms, Aishwaryamaya Rupa and Madhuryamaya Rupa. Aishwaryamaya Rupa is four-handed form of Narayan, and Madhuryamaya Rupa is two-handed form of Lord Krishna.
र उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि भगवानको दुईटा रूपहरू छ स्वयं भगवानको, एउटा ऐश्वर्यमय रूप र एउटा माधुर्यमय रूप। ऐश्वर्यमय रूपमा चाहिँ भगवानको चतुर्भुजी नारायण स्वरूप हुन्छ र माधुर्यमय रूपमा चाहिँ स्वयं कृष्ण हुनुहुन्छ।
And he says that in the material world, Aishwarya, opulence, always overshadows Madhurya.
र यो भौतिक संसारमा चाहिँ ऐश्वर्यले सधैँ माधुर्यलाई ढाक्छ।
If you come to somebody who is very powerful, and you know his power is completely blocks his human nature, so to speak.
यदि तपाईँ कोही अत्यन्त शक्तिशाली व्यक्तिकोमा जानुहुन्छ नि उहाँको त्यो शक्तिले उहाँको वास्तविक मानवताको स्वभावलाई छेकिदिन्छ।
But he says that in the spiritual world everything is vice versa, everything is upside down.
र उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि यो आध्यात्मिक जगतमा चाहिँ सबै कुरा उल्टो छ यो संसारमा।
In the material world, the Aishwarya is more valuable than Madhurya.
यो भौतिक संसारमा चाहिँ माधुर्य भन्दा पनि ऐश्वर्यको बढी महत्त्व हुन्छ।
You know, if you have garland from some forest flower, and then there is some, very opulent garland with some, like
Banknotes.
yeah, banknotes. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Sometimes, devotees they put some garland with dollars. which would which would you prefer?
मानव
It's a stupid question, isn't it?
यहाँ चाहिँ जङ्गली फुलहरूको माला छ र यो भौतिक संसारमा कसैले चाहिँ नयाँ नोटहरूको छ डलरको माला ल्याएर लगाइदियो भने दुईटा मध्ये कुन चाहनुहुन्छ?
Krishna will take this one.
कृष्णले चाहिँ यो लिनुहुन्छ।
So, in the spiritual world, Madhuri is more powerful than Aishwarya.
त आध्यात्मिक जगतमा चाहिँ ऐश्वर्य भन्दा पनि माधुर्य बढी शक्तिशाली
And
हुन्छ
therefore, Krishna is more powerful than Narayan.
र त्यही भएर नै कृष्ण नारायण भन्दा बढी शक्तिशाली हुनुहुन्छ।
And therefore, the Swarup of Shuddha Bhakti is Anukuliyana Krishna Anusilanam. This is the Swarup Lakshana of Krishna Bhakti.
तसर्थ यो कृष्ण भक्तिको शुद्ध भक्तिको परिभाषा भने कि अनुकूल्य नै कृष्ण अनुशीलनम हो।
So, if we want to practice Shuddha Bhakti, we have to really understand that I'm worshipping Krishna and only Krishna, nobody else. I worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is leading me to Krishna, because he is Krishna himself, but he is my upasya, he is my object of worship, he is my worshipable Lord.
र हामीहरूले कृष्णको र केवल मात्र कृष्णको भजन गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा बुझ्नुपर्छ र चैतन्य महाप्रभुको यस कारणले गर्छु किनकि उहाँले कृष्णकोमा लैजानुहुन्छ र उहाँ स्वयं कृष्ण हुनुहुन्छ, त्यसैले उहाँ हाम्रो आराध्य देव हुनुहुन्छ।
And I have to also very clearly understand what Krishna likes and what Krishna doesn't like.
र एकदम प्रष्टसँग बुझ्नुपर्छ कि कृष्णलाई के मन पर्छ, कृष्णलाई के मन पर्दैन।
And the only way for me to understand what Krishna likes and what Krishna doesn't like is to follow the spiritual master.
र कृष्णलाई के मन पर्दैन के मन पर्दैन भन्ने कुरा जानकार हुनेको सबभन्दा राम्रो उपाय भनेकै गुरुको आज्ञा पालन गर्नु हो।
I don't know what Krishna likes, what Krishna doesn't like, but he knows what Krishna likes, what he doesn't like.
मलाई त थाहा छ नि कृष्णलाई के मन पर्छ के मन पर्दैन, तर गुरुदेवलाई चाहिँ थाहा छ कि कृष्णलाई के मन पर्छ या मन पर्दैन।
Therefore, in our Guru Gayatri mantra, when we meditate on Guru, we say Krishnananda. Guru is Krishnananda. Guru is somebody who knows how to please Krishna, how to give ananda to Krishna.
त्यसैले हामीले गुरु गायत्री जप गर्दाखेरि त्यहाँ कृष्णानन्द भन्ने शब्द लाग्छ, त्यसको अर्थ मलाई थाहा छ कि कृष्णलाई कसरी आनन्द दिने हो।
So this is the Swarup Lakshana of pure bhakti, very important. Of course, you all know this. Maybe I shouldn't speak about this, but it's good to remind.
त यो भक्तिको स्वरूप लक्षण हो, सायद तपाईहरुलाई थाहा नै छ, तर पनि हजुरलाई याद दिलाउँदैछु, राम्रै कुरा हो।
But then there is also very important thing, and this topic we will not finish today. What is Tatastha Lakshana of the pure devotional service?
र अर्को पनि महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा छ, यो शुद्ध भक्तिमय सेवाको तटस्थ लक्षण के हो त भन्ने कुरा।
And Tatastha Lakshana, we of course know this is what is it? Anyabhilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. These two elements of Tatastha Lakshana, Anya Abhilasita Sunyam and Jnana Karma Adi Anavritam. So that's Tatastha Lakshana means that all extraneous desire, all other desires should be sunyam, should be completely zero.
त यो तटस्थ लक्षण भनेको दुईटा छ, यसमा एउटा अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम र अर्को ज्ञान कर्म ध्यानाभितम। अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम मतलब हाम्रा अरु सबै अभिलाषाहरू चाहिँ शून्य हुनुपर्छ।
What does it mean? Because we have so many desires.
त्यसको अर्थ के हो त, किनकि हाम्रो त कति धेरै इच्छाहरू छन्।
How we can practice something without having any other desires? How is it possible?
के अरु इच्छै नराखिकन यो कसरी गर्न सक्छौ, यो कसरी सम्भव छ?
Is it really realistic, to say, अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम?
के यो व्यावहारिक छ त हामीले अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम भन्नको लागि?
So let's analyze what does it mean exactly. It's very important.
त्यसैले यसो बुझौँ है त के भन्न खोजेको अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम भनेको।
First of all, Srila Rupa Goswami explains very important thing. He says, Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pishachi hridi vartate, tavat bhakti sukasya tra katham abhyudayo bhavet. He says, when this desire for bhukti and mukti, bhukti mukti spriha yavat, when desire, spriha, is there in the heart, and he says this is pishachi, this is like ghost. When the ghost of bhukti and mukti, spriha, the desire for bhukti and mukti is in the heart, then tavat bhakti sukasya tra katham abhyudaya bhavet, you will not be able to experience the bliss of bhakti.
र रूप गोस्वामीले यहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि जबसम्म हामीहरूको हृदयभित्र यो भुक्ति र मुक्तिको पिचासी हृदयभित्र छ अथवा पिचासी भनेको भूत यस्तो किसिमको पिचासी जबसम्म हाम्रो हृदयभित्र छ तबसम्म भक्ति कसरी बढ्न सक्छ
Not bhukti and mukti, bhukti and mukti spriha or abhilash, bhukti mukti abhilash.
भुक्ति मुक्ति होइन कि भुक्ति र मुक्तिको अभिलाष
It's like if you have some worms in your stomach, in your intestine, some worms which are eating some food.
यो चाहिँ जस्तो हाम्रो पेटभित्र कुनै किरा जुका जस्तो भए जस्तो हो
You know, you may eat so much food and you will still remain skinny
हामीले त्यति धेरै प्रसाद खाएर पनि अझै दुब्लो पातलो रहन्छौँ
because, and the worms will become really fat and healthy.
र त्यो पेटभित्र किराहरू चाहिँ एकदमै शक्तिशाली र मोटा घाटा हुन्छन्
Yeah, mota. You know, I saw sometimes they're really long, really long and mota. So, and in the same way, if you have these desires, they're like worms within your heart.
त यो अभिलाषाहरू यदि हाम्रो हृदयभित्र छ भने यिनीहरूले पनि यो किराहरू जस्तै काम गर्छ
You do so much bhakti, you chant, you do kirtan, you do this, you do that, and still you don't experience the bliss of bhakti.
हामी यति धेरै सेवा गर्छौँ कीर्तन गर्छौँ जप गर्छौँ तर पनि त्यो भक्तिको भाव अनुभूति गर्न सक्दैनौँ
And these worms become really mota. They become really fat.
र यो किराहरू चाहिँ अझै धेरै मोटो शक्तिशाली हुन्छन्
Kira, dhiri, mota, shaktishali. Exactly. Sahi baat hai. So, it basically means that the practice of bhakti goes in vain. Like the food, if we eat food and there are some, these worms, the food doesn't really get, doesn't give us any benefit.
तसर्थ यो वास्तवमा भक्ति गरेको सबै खेर गए जस्तो हुन्छ किनकि जति भोजन राखे पनि त्यो सबै किराले खाइदिन्छ केही फाइदा हुँदैन
So it's very interesting. Why? We should really ask first the question how it works. Why? What's wrong? Little material desire here and there. Why bhakti doesn't work? Bhakti is such a powerful process. Why it doesn't work?
त हामीले बुझ्नुपर्छ भक्ति यति शक्तिशाली मार्ग हो भने अलिकति यताउता इच्छाले किन यसले काम गरिरहेको छैन त
Bhakti Thakur explains very beautifully. Please listen very carefully.
र भक्तिनाथ ठाकुरले अत्यन्त सुन्दर तरिकाले बुझाउनुहुन्छ एकदम सावधानीपूर्वक सुन्नुहोस्
He says, if you have some material desire, it means that there will be some envy in your heart.
उहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ कि हाम्रो केही भौतिक इच्छाहरू छ भनेदेखि हाम्रो हृदयभित्र केही मात्रामा ईर्ष्या हुन्छ
Because if I want to enjoy and I see that somebody is enjoying more than me, the envy will arise within my heart.
किनकि यदि मलाई चाहिँ भोग गर्ने मन छ र अरू कसैले मभन्दा बढ्ता भोग गरिरहेको छ भनेदेखि त्यो ईर्ष्या स्वाभाविक रूपले मनमा आउँछ
Even if it's very innocent desire, for example, I want to be healthy.
यो एकदमै साधारण इच्छा जस्तो म स्वस्थ हुन चाहन्छु
I have just this very innocent desire. I want to be healthy. What's wrong with it?
मसँग एकदमै यो निर्दोष इच्छा छ म स्वस्थ हुन चाहन्छु यसमा के गलत छ
But then I see somebody is more healthy than me.
तर मैले देख्छु मभन्दा पनि स्वस्थ अर्को कोही छ
And I feel, how dare he become more healthy than me?
अनि हामीलाई चाहिँ यो कसरी मभन्दा यति चाहिँ स्वस्थ भयो
Something is wrong.
केही न केही गडबड छ यहाँ
So this envy basically means that if somebody is higher than you start developing bad feeling towards this person.
त ईर्ष्या भनेकै तपाईँभन्दा उच्च स्तरमा अर्को कोही छ भनेदेखि ऊ प्रति चाहिँ ईर्ष्याको भाव जागृत हुँदै आउँछ।
This Irsya or Matsaryam, the definition of Matsari is Parautkarsha Asahanam Matsaryam. When you cannot really tolerate when somebody is perfect and better than you. Parautkarsha Asahanam.
र यो मात्सर्य अथवा ईर्ष्याको बारेमा बताउनुहुन्छ कि अर्को व्यक्ति आफूभन्दा राम्रो भएको देखि नसक्नुलाई चाहिँ ईर्ष्या भनिन्छ।
And this bad, ill feeling towards somebody else because of this material desire actually is totally against the feeling of love.
र यो ईर्ष्या चाहिँ प्रेमको सिद्धान्तको ठिक विपरीत छ।
Therefore, in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva says, Nirmatsaranam Satam, you can only understand Krishna and you can only realize Krishna if there is no Matsari in your heart.
र त्यसैले श्रीमद् भागवतको सुरुमै निर्मत्सरणाम सताम भनिएको छ। यो भागवतमलाई बुझ्नको लागि ईर्ष्या रहित हुनुपर्छ।
Because love and Matsarya don't get together. They are incompatible. If there is Matsarya, there will be no love in your heart.
किनकि ईर्ष्या र प्रेम एक साथमा कहिले पनि जाँदैन। जबसम्म मात्सर्य हाम्रो हृदयमा हुन्छ तबसम्म प्रेम हुँदैन।
And therefore, if you have material desires, love will not enter your heart. You will only cherish this Matsarya within your heart. And you will use Bhakti to envy other people.
र तसर्थ यो ईर्ष्या यदि हाम्रो मनमा छ भनेदेखि हामीले भक्ति गर्न सक्दैनौँ किनकि त्यो भक्तिमय सेवाको कार्यहरूले पनि त्यो मत्सरतालाई नै बढाइरहेको हुन्छ।
I'm better than you. I'm better devotee than you. You know, who do you think you are?
म तिमीभन्दा राम्रो भक्त हो, तिमीले को आफूलाई भन्ठानिरहेको छौ।
Just because of this general desire to enjoy bhukti or mukti.
र यही भुक्ति र मुक्ति प्राप्त गर्ने इच्छाको कारणले यो हुन्छ।
And even if somebody is, trying to get mukti, I will still be envious because he is getting mukti and I am not getting mukti.
र यो मुक्तिको इच्छाले पनि कसैले चाहिँ उसले मुक्ति पाइरहेछ मैले किन नपाएको भन्ने भाव गर्दिन्छ।
So this is how the material desires, they eat up the bhakti within our heart.
र यसरी यो भौतिक इच्छाहरूले हामीहरूको हृदयभित्रको भक्तिलाई खाइदिन्छ।
And therefore, when we practice bhakti and at the same time we really cherish material desires within the heart, the effect of this is not there.
त्यसैले जब हामीहरू भक्ति गर्छौँ तर यो भौतिक इच्छालाई हृदयभित्र राख्छ भने भक्तिको असर हामीले पाउन सक्दैनौँ।
So what to do? How we have these desires? How we can get rid of these desires? And at the same time we practice bhakti, and while we practice bhakti with the desires, it doesn't have the effect, doesn't give us the experience, good experience. So what to do?
त यो भौतिक इच्छा भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीले भक्ति गरे पनि यसको फल पाउन सकिरहेका छैनौँ भने अब के गर्ने त, समाधान के हो?
So Srila Rupa Goswami gives a very beautiful solution to this problem. He says, Ruchim udvahatas tatra janasya bhajane hare vishayeshu garishtopi ragah praya viliyate. Rupa Goswami, okay. He says that, please listen. Ruchim udvahatas tatra janasya bhajane hare vishayeshu garishtopi. Even if you have vishayeshu garishto api, even if you have very strong taste for material enjoyment, vishayeshu garishtapi.
र रूप गोस्वामी यहाँ बताउनुहुन्छ यद्यपि हामीहरूको यो भौतिक इच्छाहरू एकदमै प्रबल छन्, शक्तिशाली छन् भने पनि
but still you have ruchi towards bhajan of Lord Hari.
तर पनि यदि हामीहरूको भगवान हरिको भजन प्रति रुचि छ भने
then gradually this taste for material enjoyment will be viliyate, will just melt away, will be completely eradicated.
र बिस्तारै बिस्तारै यो भौतिक इच्छाहरू मेटिँदै जान्छन्।
Is it logical?
यो तर्कसङ्गत छ त?
You just said that you will never have ruchi to Hari Bhajan if you have material desire. And now Rupa Goswami says, even if you have very strong taste to material enjoyment, but still you have ruchi or taste for Hari Bhajan, then only you will get rid of this raga. Is it logical? How is it compatible?
त यो कसरी बुझ्ने त? अब भर्खरै हामीले कुरा गर्यौँ कि हामीहरूको हृदयभित्र जबसम्म भौतिक इच्छा छ तबसम्म हामीले भक्ति गर्न सक्दैनौँ। र फेरि यहाँ भनेको चाहिँ यदि हरि भजनको प्रति चाहिँ रुचि छ भनेदेखि बिस्तारै यो भौतिक इच्छाहरू मेटिँदै जान्छ। कसरी यो
You just said that there cannot be ruchi in the heart if there is some material desire, and immediately, almost immediately, you says Vishayeshu Garishtapi. Even if you have very strong desire to enjoy, and still you have some ruchi. How is it possible? Somebody can give me answer to this?
भर्खरै हजुरले भन्नुभयो कि यदि हामीहरूको हृदयभित्र यस्तो भोग गर्ने इच्छा छ भने यो रुचि नै जागृत हुँदैन। अनि फेरि यहाँ भनेको छ अलिकति पनि हरिभक्तिमा रुचि भयो भने सबै कुरा मेटिन्छ। यो कसैले बुझाउन सक्नुहुन्छ?
Where do you get this ruchi from if you have such a strong taste for material enjoyment?
यदि हामीहरूको भौतिक इन्द्रिय तृप्तिप्रति यति आसक्ति छ भने यो रुचि कहाँबाट पाउने त?
The answer is that you get it from Patri.
यसको उत्तर हो हामीले पत्रिकाबाट पाउन सक्छौँ।
The answer is that you have to get it from somebody who has it.
उत्तर यो हो कि जोसँग छ उबाट हामीले प्राप्त गर्न सक्छौँ।
Then, if you get it from somebody who has it, if you are in contact with somebody who has this ruchi for Hari Bhajan, then gradually, this taste for material enjoyment will be melted out of your heart, and your heart will become pure, and you will be able to practice the pure devotional service.
त्यस्तो प्रेम भएको कोही व्यक्तिको संगति गर्नाले त्यो बिस्तारै हामीमा आउँदै जान्छ र हाम्रो भौतिक इच्छाहरू मर्दै जान्छ र हामीले शुद्ध भक्ति पाउन सक्छौँ।
So basically, the beginning, the middle, and the end of bhakti is all based on the association.
तसर्थ भक्तिको सुरुवात, मध्य र अन्त्य भनेको भक्तहरूको सङ्गमा आधारित छ।
Only if you have proper association, you will be able to practice pure devotional service. Otherwise, it's not possible.
यदि हाम्रो सही साधुसँग भयो भनेदेखि मात्र हामीले शुद्ध भक्ति गर्न सक्छौँ, नत्र सक्दैनौँ।
Anyway, that's already it's too late. I don't want to speak more. Tomorrow we can continue this topic. There is a lot more things to say. And I'll try to give some practical hints what does it mean, but today was little introduction to the topic.
त धेरै समय हजुरको व्यतीत गर्न चाहन्न। भोलि हामीहरू यही कुरामा अझै बढी चर्चा गर्नेछौँ र भोलि अझै व्यवहारिक कुराहरू बताउँछु कसरी भक्ति मार्गमा लाग्न सक्छौँ।
Okay, thank you very much. Yes.
I have one inquiry. Like we listen about that devotee of Sri Sampradaya, they do not even associate with Shiva Bhakta or Shiva temple. So in Mana Shiksha also we have studied that even do not think about Lord Narayana, think about Krishna. So can we associate with the devotees, those who are devotees of Lord Narayana?
We can associate with anyone, but we have to really understand what association means. You know, association, when we are associating, especially if we're associating very closely, we're sharing our taste. So, or our ambition or something like this. And therefore, therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says, if you want to associate, the association means the real association which will be helpful for your spiritual progress with the devotees who are more advanced than you and who have similar taste, who are cultivating similar taste, the taste which you want to cultivate. So that's very important. If the taste of bhava which you are trying to cultivate is different, then too intimate association may not be productive. You can still associate, you can still be friendly, and but too close association may not be so good. Otherwise, we're very respectful and we like them, but we have our little Lala in Vrindavan, whom we want to associate. So that's the most important.
प्रभुजीले यहाँ प्रश्न सोध्नुभएको छ कि अघि हामीले क्लासमा सुन्यौँ कि विष्णु भक्तहरूले चाहिँ शिव भक्तहरूको सङ्ग पनि गर्नुहुन्न, शिव मन्दिर पनि जानुहुन्न भने अब हामीहरू कृष्णका भक्त हौँ भने हामीहरूले चाहिँ विष्णु भक्तहरूको सङ्ग गर्न हुन्छ कि हुँदैन? महाराजले उत्तर दिनुभयो कि पहिलो कुरा त हामीले बुझ्नुपर्छ कि सङ्ग भनेको के हो। विशेष गरी यो भक्ति मार्गमा अग्रसर हुनको लागि चाहिँ हामीहरूले चाहिँ उच्च स्तरको उत्तम अधिकारी या मध्यम अधिकारी आफूभन्दा माथि या आफ्नो बराबरको भक्तहरूसँग सङ्ग गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामी भक्ति मार्गमा अगाडि बढ्छौँ। त्यसकारणले अरू व्यक्तिहरूसँग हामीले भेटघाट गर्न सक्छौँ, कुराकानी गर्न सक्छौँ, हाँसी खुसी गर्न सक्छौँ, तर त्यो सङ्घ कतिको नजिकको हो भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ जानकार हुनुपर्छ। किनकि त्यस्तो सङ्घबाट हामीहरूले आफ्नो अवधारणाहरू उनीहरूको अवधारणाहरू हामीभित्र लिइरहेका हुन्छौँ होइन। र त्यस्तो सङ्घ चाहिँ ठिक छ अलिकति एउटा दूरी कायम गरेर हामीले सङ्घ गर्नुपर्छ। धेरै नजिक भयो भने चाहिँ उनीहरूको प्रभाव हामीमाथि हुनसक्छ।
Yes.
र साथसाथै हामीहरूले सधैँभरि हाम्रो वृन्दावनमा एउटा लाला हुनुहुन्छ भनेर चाहिँ स्मरण गर्नुपर्छ र उहाँकै चिन्तन गरिरहनुपर्छ।
Nicely explained, Maharaj, that seva means I'm not independent.
Yes.
And Prabhupada also at the same time said devotees should be independently thoughtful. This Prabhupada often quotes. So how do we understand till which degree or what is that independently thoughtful means? At the same time, we don't want to be independent.
Different people have different favorite quotes from Prabhupada. Basically means that, independently thoughtful means that if we are established in our identity as a follower, as a disciple, as a servant, then within this identity, we can manifest our ability to be independently thoughtful. Like it is said that in Ramayana, it is said that the servants are of three types, and the best servant is, the worst servant is that he hears something and he doesn't do this. The Madhyama Dasa, he hears some agya, some order, and he does exactly what is said. And the best servant, he hears some order and he does what is being said, but he does more. Like Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj told me to preach in the West, but then I came to India and started preaching in India. That was my own desire. So like Hanuman, he went to search for Sita, but by the way, he also burned Lanka. that was his independently thoughtful manifestation. But he was first and foremost established in this identity. I am the servant of Lord Ram. And then, and he was following strictly his order, and he found Sita. And then, by the way, he did so many other things.
माताजीले प्रश्न सोध्दै हुनुहुन्छ कि हामीहरूले चाहिँ सुन्यौँ कि यो स्वतन्त्र हुने इच्छा चाहिँ हाम्रो भक्ति मार्गमा अत्यन्त खतरनाक छ। फेरि सधैँ पतिप्रभुले चाहिँ प्रभुपादजीको एउटा कथनलाई चाहिँ बार बार भन्ने गर्नुहुन्छ कि प्रभुपादले भन्नुभएको छ कि सबै भक्तहरूमा चाहिँ यो स्वतन्त्र रूपले स्वतन्त्र सोच हुनुपर्छ आफ्नो तरिकाले सेवा गर्ने। कसरी यसलाई बुझ्ने त? महाराजले उत्तर दिनुभयो कि हो सबै भक्तहरूको प्रभुपादजीको भनाइहरूबाट एउटा एउटा आफ्नो हुन्छ, छान्नु भएको हुन्छ आफूलाई मनपर्ने। तर कुरा के हो भनेदेखि चाहिँ रामायणमा पनि बताइएको छ कि तीनटा वर्गका शिष्यहरू अथवा दासहरू हुन्छन्। तेस्रो श्रेणीको त्यो हो जसले चाहिँ सुनेर पनि पालना गर्दैन। दोस्रो श्रेणीको मध्यम अधिकारी चाहिँ त्यो हो जसले चाहिँ सुन्छ र तुरुन्त गर्छ। र पहिलो वर्गको चाहिँ त्यो हो जसले भन्नुभन्दा पनि अगाडि गर्छ र त्यो भनेको भन्दा पनि अझै थप पनि उसले आफ्नो सोचले गर्न सक्छ। जस्तै कि हनुमानजीको उदाहरण दिनुभयो होइन, अथवा प्रभुपादजी स्वयंको पनि उदाहरण छ कि उहाँलाई चाहिँ गुरुदेवले आज्ञा दिनुभएको थियो पाश्चात्य जगतमा गएर प्रचार गर, र पाश्चात्य जगतमा त गर्नु नै भयो, तर साथसाथमा भारतमा पनि यता पूर्वीय क्षेत्रमा पनि प्रचार गर्नुभयो। र प्रभुपादजी भन्नुहुन्छ मलाई मेरो गुरुदेवले यता प्रचार गर भन्नुभयो, यो चाहिँ मैले आफै गरेको हो भनेर भन्नुभयो। जस्तै कि हनुमानजीलाई चाहिँ सीतालाई खोज्ने मात्रै आदेश दिएको थियो, तर सीतालाई त खोज्नु नै भयो, तर त्यसको साथसाथमा ठिकै छ लङ्का पनि बिच बाटोमा जलाएर आइदिनु त भनेर चाहिँ उहाँ आउनुभएको छ। त यसरी हामीहरूले चाहिँ यसलाई बुझ्नुपर्छ।
Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.